Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Ray the Flying Squirrel here, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Remake for the Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we essentially did manage to tackle through the next dungeon in the game, which appears to be Face Shrine, and oh no, we actually did that dungeon no problem. Which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that we've already experienced the Face Shrine ever since on the Game Boy Color version, thanks to Tiana, by the way. And in addition to that, about the fact that we somehow managed able to face off against with the next boss in the game, which appears to be Face 8. And afterwards though, we somehow managed able to claim ourselves the 6th instrument, and naturally we've only got 2 instruments left until we decided able to wake up the Windfish. As well as from that, we also did manage able to equip the much more powerful bracelet. So naturally speaking though, we can now able to actually carry specifically heavy objects, as well as from that, we can also shove the forms of some heavy objects as well. And finally, most notably though, Blaze the Cat did manage able to join in with me in one of those videos in particular so far, and relatively speaking though, she did ask me about the fact that yes indeed, she will definitely join in with the Maxi Toys crew. So as a result though, thankfully she will able to reignite with Silver the Hedgehog now, so all in all, everything else checks out there. So yeah, today for this video, if you couldn't tell already, since about the fact I did somehow manage able to shove this particular thing right there, which pretty much leads us to the next important story progressioning right there. Now before we do that though, we need to able to learn the 3rd and the final song, and luckily though, since that we somehow managed able to equip the hookshot now, so this means about the fact that we can now able to miraculously able to actually get onto the other side of this bit right there, because normally without the hookshot, obviously it's impossible to reach this point, but since that we somehow now got the hookshot now, so this means we now finally made our way with this particular point that's filled to the brim with signed billboards. So yeah, basically though, is about the fact that just like the forms of how it does in the original version of the game, including the Game Boy Color version as well, basically though, we need to follow these correct directions of what the actual signs actually tells you where you're supposed to go. But thankfully though, this particular bit right there is actually a lot easier compared to the forms of how it does it on the Game Boy / Game Boy Color version, mainly because of the perspective changes, and on top of all that stuff though, there's no screen transitions with all that particular screen scrolling bits. So either way though, chances are though is about the fact that, and also at the same time though, we do need able to save up certain rupees at one point, just in case about the fact that we can able to, you know, unlock the 3rd and the final song for the Ocarina. And as always, mandatory as well if you really want to finish the game, because otherwise though, if you don't know exactly where to go, well, obviously though, I suggest you able to go to this bit right there, and as a result though, you can potentially try to able to find one of those secrets. So anyway, oh yeah, a few things I want to talk about is about the fact that, well, today's date of course there is the 8th of October today, in some cases in 2024 today, so potentially speaking is about the fact that we've only got about 3 more days to go until Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is going to be releasing. In addition to that, only 9 more days to go until Super Mario Party Jamboree is going to be releasing, and on top of all that stuff though, we also got ourselves about, let's just say, 17 more days to go until Sonic X Shadow Generations is going to be releasing, and finally, most notably though, we've only got about 13 more days to go until Mario Luigi Brothership is going to be releasing for the Nintendo Switch. And yeah, that's basically all there is to it. Now, potentially speaking though, is about the fact that despite the fact that we've also realized about the fact that we've only got about either 2 days left or 3 days left for that matter for the likes of the 3rd and the final episode of Sonic X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings, well, I should probably able to save that particular topic in later time, because for now, we've met again Ward, but this time with a massive graphical update. Well, except the fact that he does have a different name by the way, but usually for the sake of the actual Mario Fanatic's sake, then obviously I'm still gonna call him Ward, because it almost exactly looks like Ward from the likes of Super Mario Bros. 2 USA. But usually, relatively speaking, as you can tell, we somehow paid for 300 rupees in order to actually get ourselves the 3rd and the final song for the Ocarina, and potentially speaking, that's essentially how you can do for this point. So But anyway, now, as far as I'm aware, ever since about 3 or 5 days ago, potentially speaking though, that basically though, I've already mentioned about the forms of specific announcements they already did brings us into, with the forms of the latest State of Play Direct, that I've already mentioned about the forms of how the fact that yes, we've already managed able to get ourselves the confirmed release date for Monster Hunter Wilds, which is expected to be releasing until the 28th of February in 2025. And as far as I'm aware, if you do manage able to pre-order the game, you're able to actually get yourselves multitude of bonuses, ranging from layered armor, or in some cases glittered knight set, and also it actually comes with the forms of Talisman, Hope, Charm, I think it's what it says anyway. As well as from that though, much like the forms of how it does it on some other games in general, like for instance with Sonic Superstars for instance, if you do manage able to pre-order the game in the PlayStation Store though, that's going to be exclusive, at least for what I've heard anyway. Basically though, you get yourselves the digital mini art book, so naturally speaking though, you can able to scroll through these specific pages with concept arts and you name the rest. As well as from that, you also get bonuses in other Monster Hunter games, ranging from, let's just say you get yourselves the forms of, well, if you do manage able to actually access to your save data bonus with the forms of Monster Hunter World, you're able to actually get yourselves the armor set, as well as the forms of the weapon, which appears to be inspired by Acorn related, or anything else like that. As well as from that though, if you do manage able to actually access the save data from the likes of Monster Hunter World Iceborne, basically you get yourselves the armor set, as well as the weapon set, based off from like, I don't know, pickaxe or something. Mind you, I haven't exactly mentioned about quite a lot of Monster Hunter ever since in about a couple of days ago. As I said before, it's been about 5 days ago since I actually have last mentioning something related to the forms of State of Play announcements and stuff like that. Well, that's besides the point. The next thing they did some mention about, that's what appears to be about the fact that not only for the sake of the forms of PlayStation 5, but as well as PC, and maybe PS4 or something like that. Mind you, haven't exactly followed that particular game for quite some time until now. That's what appears to be about the fact that we're about to be expecting to get ourselves the confirmed release date for LEGO Horizon Adventures, and as far as I'm aware, it's gonna due out at some point on the 14th of November, in just about like a week after Mario Luigi Brothership is gonna be releasing. So yeah, at the very least that's that. And I believe fundamentally speaking though, is that LEGO Horizon Adventures is also gonna be releasing on the Nintendo Switch, kind of thing about it. So, and also, as far as I'm aware, that you do able to get yourself some even more bonus items here and there. Like, for instance, if you pre-order the game, you're able to actually unlock the in-game skin of Shield Weaver outfits, at least as far as I'm aware. And then there's also going to be, as usual, the Digital Deluxe Edition, which does manage to contain the in-game unlockables, such as the forms of some specific costumes for let's just say, for instance, though, they are obviously trying to able to include certain PlayStation exclusive costumes, ranging from Ratchet, as well as the forms of Sackboy, and as well as the forms of Rivet from the likes of Rift Apart from Ratchet & Clank. And on top of that, there's also going to be a roller coaster customization, which is actually kind of interesting to say the least. So yeah, I guess that's all I can really think about it. Mind you, the pre-orders have already began ever since in Journey forms of around 5 days ago. So as a result though, that way you can able to actually get your chance to able to actually just, you know, try to pre-order the game before the actual game comes out. And speaking of which though, when it comes to Horizon and stuff like that, apparently though, out of nowhere, not only for PC, but as well as PlayStation 5, well, it may look like about the fact that the brand new version of Horizon Zero Dawn was expected to be remastered at some point in this year's Halloween. Now, the reason why I say this is because, as far as I'm aware, it's about to due out until the 31st of October in 2024. So, I'm guessing they're trying to able to improve upon the graphics and stuff like that. Mind you, it's the exact same game as ever since Journey forms have been 2017 for the PlayStation 4. So, yeah, it seems pretty cool to able to have themselves the upgraded version of Horizon Zero Dawn, but this time around though on PlayStation 5, including PC as as well. Now, technically speaking though, if you do manage to able to already have the PlayStation 4 version of Horizon Zero Dawn, that if you do manage to play it on the PlayStation 5 version, well, there's actually the PS5 upgraded version, so as a result though, it does manage to cost money, by the way, which at the moment right now, I've only looked upon the forms of the currency of the American version, that it did say $9.99, so I'm not exactly sure about the forms of the European pounds or just euros or anything else like that, or just anything else in general. So yeah, it's pretty cool to able to actually got themselves the remastered version of Horizon Zero Dawn, especially concerning for the fact that that game receives really well back in 2017, alongside with the forms of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and as well as Super Mario Odyssey as well, so you get the idea for this point. The next thing they talked about in Journey forms of the latest state of play, that's what appears to be a crossover DLC, which appears to be Stellar Blade with Nier Automata. So yeah, I think it's about to only come out on the PlayStation 5, I believe so anyway, and it's about to be coming out at some point in this year though. We're not exactly sure when exactly though, but I suppose we'll find out more about it during at some point in a later time. And after that though, they've shown us not one, but 3 different colors is about to be coming for the PlayStation 5. Usually it's more accurately the covers as well as the forms of the controllers themselves, so it's not so much the actual console itself, it's more specifically the PS5 console covers and the controllers themselves, and 3 of which are chroma colors. So for instance, we're about to be getting the Indigo one, and the Pearl, and Teal. So yeah, kind of a cool color choices, believe it or not. And also, after that though, they somehow mentioned about the phones of the PlayStation 5 Pro again. So, just for the sake of the phones of the recap of the PlayStation 5 Pro actually decides to looks like. And then, in addition to that though, with certain software for PlayStation 5, we're able to get themselves the actual performance upgrades and all that stuff. So, yeah, nothing else new around here, especially concerning for the fact that we technically already know about that ever since around a couple of days ago, since when they first revealed the PlayStation 5 Pro, so you get the gist of it. So, and I suppose we've now come towards the final announcement in regards of the forms of the most recent state of play. That's what it appears to be. The game is going to be coming until next year in 2025, and that game in questioning is Ghost of Hurtala, I think is what it says anyway, and I believe is about to be releasing on PlayStation 5 and maybe Xbox Series X for that matter, just because the graphics themselves is actually much more advanced more than anything. So yeah, that's as far as I can talk about in terms of the forms of state of play announcements, in journey forms of that particular games lineup and all that stuff. I will say though, the only highlight for me though is definitely gonna have to be Sonic X Shadow Generations again. Like for instance though, I just can't even believe about the fact that they've now able to include Paramount Shadow, or to be more specifically though, Movie Shadow is going to be part of the forms of Sonic X Shadow Generations, with the additional level is going to be coming. So as a result though, I believe this is actually technically is the second time that State of Play did somehow manage to able to brought up with Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, believe it or not. Especially concerning for the fact that, well, like I stated this before, is about the fact that we've only got about 17 days left until the game actually comes out. And speaking of which though, I've also found out about the fact that someone actually did say about the fact that Shadow's campaign is going to be about the exact same length as Sonic's campaign in Sonic X Shadow Generations. So I suppose that's a good thing. Way more better than the forms of how it does it on Sonic Forces somehow, with the forms of Episode Shadow, because in Episode Shadow in Sonic Forces, it's ridiculously short, because as far as I'm aware, it only contains 3 levels, and as far as I'm aware, that usually certain stages are super duper short, and as a result though, yeah, nothing else I can really say about it, I guess. So, but at least it's a huge step up from the likes of in Sonic Forces to me though, in regards to the forms of both of those campaigns, with Sonic Story as well as Shadow Story respectively. So at the very least that's that. So anyways though, also, what I've also realized about the fact that in regards to the forms of certain games out there. Like, for instance, is about the fact that when it comes to the upcoming Assassin's Creed game, which appears to be Assassin's Creed Shadows, sadly though, that game is going to be delayed during at some point on the 14th of February in 2025. So that's going to be about 14 days before Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be releasing, and as far as I'm aware, that Assassin's Creed Shadows is also going to be releasing on next generation of consoles, like, you know, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X/S, Windows PC, and among all others with Mac OS and iPad OS. So, and potentially speaking, the reason why they're trying to able to delay the game is probably because about the fact that they want more polish. So, makes sense in that regard. So, anyways though, so yeah, we somehow got ourselves our nice glorious silver ruby. So naturally speaking, we somehow managed able to get ourselves some even more rubies onto our capacity, just in case we can able to actually buy some occasional items from time to time. Well, usually relatively speaking, let's not worry about this right now, because we need to keep an eye on with that particular flying rooster so far, because that naturally speaking is about the fact that we can able to, well, start to make our way to the next dungeon. So, as far as I'm aware about the fact that we're now going to be exploring onto Telltale Mountain, so I suppose no matter what though, there might be a couple of times though we can able to explore into the outside portion, and there are a couple of times though we can able to actually go inside the cavern sometimes. So either way, actually no matter what though, I don't think we can able to actually get to this point just yet, because we still need to look for that specific key in order to able to actually access that particular next dungeon coming up. At least to be more specifically though, luckily though, that as far as I'm aware, that we can able to actually start to be doing the next dungeon until tomorrow, because yes, as far as what Maxi, Sonic, and Silver and Joy have mentioned about this is about the fact that the uploading schedules has been changed slightly with two of those games in particular, because, well, potentially speaking, I was about the fact that when it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog 4, as far as everything else in Sonic the Hedgehog 4 actually, was expected to be only on weekends, because as far as I'm aware, those Sonic the Hedgehog 4 games were incredibly short, so that's why about the fact that Sonic definitely needs to be able to get those games out of the way, just before, you know, Sonic X Shadow Generations was expected to be releasing coming up. So, anyway, and not to mention though, is about the fact that I also did somehow realize about the fact that, well, as far as what Maxi did somehow mention about this already, that, you know, it's kind of unfortunate about the fact that one of those mobile phone games called The Simpsons Tapped Out, that the actual service is about to shut down, and as a result though, it's gonna happen and during at some point until the 25th of January in 2025, although from what I can tell is about the fact that the actual in-app purchases will also be disabled until specifically though, until Halloween this year, to be more specifically though, on the October 31st in 2024. Like, it did say on the article right here, like, sadly, in-app purchases have been disabled and the game will no longer be available from the App Store after the 31st of October in 2024, so I'm guessing that the actual app for that will be delisted at some point. And reads the notice, you may continue playing until 24th of January in 2025, and then the game will no longer be accessible. We bet you, you know, it's kind of hard for me to say, because I already know for a fact it has been a while since we somehow mentioned about that game. So either way, and as a result though, it feels remarkably similar to the forms of how it does it in Dr. Mario World, ever since it during the forms have been 2021. So, also, what I've also realized about the fact that there's also going to be another problem in Journey forms of the actual service is about to shut down, but to be more specifically though, it's only going to happen on Belgium and Netherlands. So, no matter what though, the game I'm referring to as Pokemon Unite, which as a result though, that game did usually came out on not only on smartphones, but as well as the Nintendo Switch. So, but it did say on the article right here, thank you to everyone who, for your continued support of Pokemon Unite. Unfortunately though, we have to make the difficult decision to end service for Pokemon Unite in Belgium and the Netherlands from November 30th in 2025. And as far as it did say on the article as well, as of November 30th, 2025, service for Pokemon Unite will end in Belgium and the Netherlands. The app will no longer be available to download on mobile devices or Nintendo Switch beyond that date. And also, in addition to that, in-game items, including arrows, gems, and subscriptions will no longer be available for purchase from October 31st also in 2024. Oh, jeez Louise, what is going on? So, please ensure to use all in-game items before 30th of November in 2025. And players may reach out to support for any issues before 30th of November in 2025. We would like to thank our players in Belgium and Netherlands for their support, and will apologize for any inconvenience or something. So, yeah, this is gonna be a bit of a pain though, although mind you, I don't usually play that game, because obviously though I didn't able to actually access by playing it, but that's besides the point. So, as you can see, we somehow claim ourselves the, I would say, the final dungeon key in order to able to actually access the dungeons themselves, which as a result, we somehow get ourselves the Eagle Key. And naturally speaking now, we can now able to make our way to the next dungeon now. So either way though, yeah, everything else checks out there. So thanks to you for this pretty cool flying rooster. So potentially speaking though, that was the only time that it's going to be useful when it comes to able to picking up the actual flying rooster. So either way, now I suppose another thing I want to point out, I'm seriously getting a little bit annoyed about the forms of these repetitive adverts keeps on popping up from time to time. Like one of those particular games in general, which appears to be Simpler Piano, Learn Piano Fast app that just keeps on popping up. Like I keep on hearing the exact same A Whole New World song pops up every time when the advert shows up, and I'll admit it though right away, it's getting really repetitive at one point, I must admit though right away. Well, I'm biased I guess when it comes to preferring other stuff in general. Well, potentially speaking though, that's as far as I can try to talk about this. So, anywho though, so also, as far as I'm aware, is about the fact that I'm pretty concerned, speaking of The Simpsons, potentially, I can't even believe we're now on season 36 right now in The Simpsons TV series, which I know for a fact is a long-running animated cartoons as far as I'm concerned. And potentially speaking, I was about the fact that everyone keeps on questioning it, about the fact that when is the series going to end? Well, it is very difficult, I'm going to tell you for this point right about now, especially concerning for the fact that, well, what I've also realized about something is about the fact that Disney Plus will able to actually just go ahead and try to able to release season 35 of The Simpsons in journey forms upon Disney Plus at this point, so among all others as well, ranging from Zombies, the reanimated series, and that's going to be on the first season, and on top of that with Lego Marvel Adventures, Mission, Demolishing, or anything else like that, and more, including with the forms of this special is going to be coming up for The Simpsons, which appears to be The Simpsons, the most wonderful time of the year. It could be something more related to Christmas special or something, and there's also going to be more coming during the forms within this month in particular, which is of course October, ranging from The Fly, Evita, Edwards, Scissors Hands, and Celeste and Jesse Forever, and Barbarian, and also the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and much more as well. So yeah, that's quite a lot of stuff I would like to point out right away. So yeah, generally speaking now, we can now insert this particular Eagle Key and able to actually activate the entrance to Eagle's Tower. Oh boy, Eagle's Tower, we've met again. So I suppose no matter what though, hopefully though, that this particular dungeon won't be nearly as tedious as the forms of how it does it on the original Game Boy / Game Boy Color version, but we shall see until tomorrow. So with that being said folks, is that we get endings off this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening Remake for the Nintendo Switch, and that's what appears to be about the fact that we're going into the next dungeon in the game, which appears to be Eagle's Tower. And like I said this before, hopefully this won't be nearly as tedious as the previous versions, I don't think. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.